Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic episode of The Left Wing. I am TJ Whitehead. Power is taken, not given. Joined as always by John Cooper of Counterpoint Politics. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing all right, but a very busy day on my end. I never even made a banner, so we're using the one from Thursday.
Hey!
Apologies, audience. But again, if you'd like to see better production value, find us a free editor. Anyway, TJ, it's been a little bit. I mean, I guess we talked politics. It's been a little bit since we had like a Tuesday Q&A show.
Yeah.
So excited to get to talk with some of our commenters who I know were commenting on Thursday's show, and we just did not get to address. So hopefully we have some more today.
It's funny. Whenever I do, you do videos online and everything, and there's a lot of comments, and you can't always get to them. And so I would like to go on TikTok Live, because then people who follow your content, they can watch it and they can ask questions. You can answer them in real time, and it's kind of fun that way. But here it's a little trickier when you're actually talking to people and guests and everything. You can't always get to them, so it's unfortunate when you see some really good ones. And we try to hit those when we can, but not always successful.
It isn't always. But anyway, we got plenty of stuff to talk about here. What's been on your mind lately?
Well, basically, man-made horrors beyond my comprehension. Every day I wake up to a new one. We talk about this so much. I feel like it's been 7-8 months of this where every other day is just something awful. It's odd that you get kind of numb to it, but that's what depressed me yesterday. I can't remember what the news story was that Herman Cain. What? Hold on. What is this? Herman Cain's 999 plan. I don't even know what that means. Oh, I wish I got that joke.
I remember distinctly he had like a plan. It was the 999 plan.
Oh, okay.
And I forget what the problem. Like, I forget what the funny part of it was. It was either he forgot what one of the nines were for, or it just made utterly no sense why all of these things would be 9, and it was clearly the numbers were shoehorned in to like sound good. Like, it was one of those two things, but I forget what it was.
Oh yeah, I don't remember. But Herman Cain. Oh, back when COVID happened and we saw all the Republicans just ignoring it and getting sick and everything, we're like, oh, the Republicans are gonna die. The only one that died was Herman Cain. You remember that? It was like the only one of and he's not even an A-tier Republican, but yeah, they got somebody.
Now you know God is racist. The one black guy.
The one black guy, they got him, yeah, and everything. So I don't know. I wish I knew what the 999 plan was, but anyway, I saw so many to talk about today, just to kind of riff on that. I ran out of room. There's just too many to go over. I tried to put some down that I haven't seen a lot of talk about. Have you heard about Oklahoma and their woke teacher test that they want to do?
I've heard that they want to give them like a quiz on the Constitution and ask them how to identify a boy and a girl. Other than that, I have not heard much.
Yeah, that was on Fox News. They said something about that. They said that they need to tell the differences between boys and girls and stuff. But I'm going to try to go ahead and share a YouTube video I saw about this. Let me see if I can get actually, it says it's share. Oh, there it is. Okay, let me know if you can hear this, John.
The new school year is about to begin in Oklahoma, and it's already stirring controversy from the classroom to the state capitol. The state's top education official is spearheading a new certification test for incoming teachers, aimed at keeping schools in line with Oklahoma's conservative values and voting record. The state plans to require an America First test for teachers moving in from out of state, particularly from Democratic-leaning regions. State Superintendent Ryan Walters told Fox News the goal is to prevent what he calls woke indoctrination in Oklahoma classrooms. The test, currently being developed by conservative education organization PragerU, will focus on American history, civics, and what Walters describes as common sense. He specifically called out California, Maine, and New York, claiming their education standards are completely opposite of Oklahoma's. Among the topics he wants kept out of schools, gender ideology, sexual orientation, and LGBTQ-related content. He also pointed out that every county in Oklahoma voted for Donald Trump in the 2024 election. But not everyone in state government supports the plan. State board member Chris Vandenhendel questioned whether the test is even necessary, noting that teachers are already required to follow Oklahoma's standards. And Democratic Representative John Waldron raised concerns about enforceability, whether targeting teachers based on their home state is appropriate. So far, no date has been set for when the new test might take effect.
Okay, I know you probably have quite a bit to say about that, John. But well, actually, you go first. What are your thoughts? Well, after seeing that.
Well, the first thought I had, it wasn't even about anything that was said. It was, what the fuck is Straight Arrow News? I've never heard of that before.
Yeah,
the
man.
second thought I had was, Oklahoma, isn't that the state with the superintendent that
That's
showed
it.
porn
Yep.
during a parent? Yep, that's it. This superintendent who is pushing this America First teachers must abide by these rules test is the one that showed porn during a closed doors parents meeting. And I don't know how to take these people seriously, TJ. Like I don't even know how to listen to the words past that.
The first thing that came to mind when I heard this was, hey, he's all upset about teachers coming from other states and telling Oklahoma how to do education. I wonder where Oklahoma ranks in education nationwide. And for those of you wondering, number 48. Oklahoma is 48th in education around the world or in the country. So I don't know, maybe it is time someone from other states comes in and tells Oklahoma what to do, because they are not doing such a bang up job themselves.
Again, it's really even hard to like argue any sort of merits of any of this, because it's just so obviously incorrect. Like, this is one of those things where I can agree with a Republican that like there are fucked up things about our education system. I can agree. We can find common ground on that. But if you're saying that the reason Oklahoma has a failing education system is because the teachers aren't America first, like, what the fuck are you prioritizing? Are you seriously telling me that anything on this test is more important, and they love to fucking say this, they should be learning how to read and write? Well, they're not fucking learning how to read and write, guys. They're doing it at nearly the worst level in the entire country. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't be focused on these things and actually focus on fucking facts. And the facts, unfortunately, are in America first. They aren't. If you want to teach history, you can't have America just be the good guy all the time, because that's not accurate history.
God, it's so frustrating. It's so annoying. And here's the thing, like what John said, there's a conservative critiques of education aren't always bad. They're usually bad, but they aren't always bad. Like, a lot of times I'm on board with them. Something that people on the right, conservatives, have been saying for years, so that they complain about the fact that, hey, all these kids and their damn phones in schools and everything. And Texas, I don't know if you saw this, John, but Texas, statewide, this coming school year, they've decided that no more phones in public schools. Have you heard about that?
No, but I think we both kind of maybe agree with that one.
Absolutely. The conservatives, now I don't know if that's a conservative issue or not, but it's Texas. Texas is hardly a bastion of left wing.
Conservative because like it was first being tossed around when I was in school, not when you were in school, obviously. You were still
no cell phones,
on, play tablets.
Yeah.
But like that was like the old people. Like, it felt like, oh yeah, this is old man yelling at clouds. Old man was right about those damn clouds in this case. I admit, 180-degree turn.
Yep.
That was a problem. And my reasoning was always, I was able to do it in a very healthy way. In fact, it helped enrich my education. That's not the case for most people. It just isn't.
No. And especially like even like they didn't have cell phones when I was a kid, obviously, but even when you were in school, they were more primitive phones. Like, the phones that you have now are just, cheating devices, really. Like you could have the phone take your test for you. The teachers can't watch every kid in the school. Plus, it's a distraction. It is. And a lot of people I've heard try to find some middle ground on this, where they say, well, listen, just go back to the kids can have the phone if they want, but they can't have it out in class. How much time do you think teachers have to waste going to individual students saying, hey, John, please put away your phone? And then John says, why do I have to do it? I'm doing something important right here. Bet you're not going to make me. You're going to lose countless hours of education, fighting with kids when, like, nope, they don't need their phone. And all the excuses for having the phone there are nonsense. The kid is perfectly safe. They'll be fine without the phone. The phone's not going to do anything. So I got that. I'm on board. If that was his cause celeb, I'd be all there. But it's like, nope, we got to make sure that the teachers love Ben Franklin. We got to really make sure that they think Andrew Jackson is an excellent human being before we let them teach at this year's school. So I don't know. You could say it's like a distraction because he is in that scandal and stuff right now. But, oh, I remember now. I remember what it was that got me feeling this way. Because it was that video that was shared on Pete Hegseth's Twitter page with Doug Wilson saying that he thought women shouldn't have the right to vote. And this is shared by the Secretary of Defense and everything.
I didn't even see this.
Okay, I'll pull that. I got that stage. I got a whole list of these things. But, and I saw someone perfectly verbalize what I was thinking is I don't really think there's going to be any movement on taking away women's actual right to vote, to repealing the 19th. That is not going to happen. But the fact that it is able to be discussed in public as a serious idea is horrifying to me. Like, it says a lot about how far we've regressed, and I am kind of worried about the future.
You know, I had a very similar thought, like different subject, but same line of reasoning of people complaining about like typically it's Indians. I know there's some African countries that do this, but like people eating like rice with their hands or something, you know. And it's like, holy shit, before I get to the rest of that point, we have a surprise guest, Scott's Hamburgers.
Yo!
Oklahoma may be red, but our patties aren't, unless you order them that way. Stop by our Bicoxy location and grab a $12 triple today. Scott's Hamburgers, it's good to see you, my friend. It's been a while. I've been worried that Scott hasn't been watching, DJ, because we haven't seen him in a while. And I'm not saying like you have to give us money all the time, but pop in with a comment every once in a while. You know, we like seeing you.
I was worried about Scott's. I think the last time we actually heard from Scott's Burgers was right after Luigi Mangione. Because remember, he made that joke about how there are no rats in his kitchen. I thought that was great. And I was like, oh no, they got to him. They heard about Scott and they took him out. But we're glad to see you, buddy.
So anyway, as I was saying, like people who are just like, these uncultured swine eating this food with their hands like this. I'm like, bro, we eat food with our hands all the time. And like I got into it with some of them because I'm a fucking sadist or masochist, whichever the fuck it is. And I was like, okay, like we eat fucking wings and barbecue ribs and they're messy as shit and we could eat them. Wings I could actually understand. It's kind of hard to eat with times, but barbecue ribs, we could easily cut that up with a fork and knife. We do it with a ribeye steak all the fucking time. No difference. But we do it with our hands. And they're like, oh, well, that is one solid thing. It doesn't have particles of grain. And I'm like, okay, fucking sunflower seeds. I eat it in literally the same exact way. Fucking hand to mouth, just put it in there. I even take them out when I spit them out sometimes. And they're like, oh, well, that isn't wet. I'm like, motherfucker. Like, I don't know why. It's just acceptable to say these things now. This would have made you persona non grata.
Yeah.
Even during Trump administration 1, this shit was outside the Overton window. And it's so sad to see that things are acceptable, because not only is it like worrisome for the future, but it's a reminder that these things have always existed. Even when it was unacceptable to say, these people still felt that way. And it's every possible thing under the sun. We saw there was a petition to for the Supreme Court to overturn gay marriage, Obergefell, and all of the fucking Republicans who have been pretending like, they're cool with the gays now. Some of them might be, but fuck, a lot of them have been lying about that shit. And we know that because they were also fucking lying about people eating food with their hands being okay if they're fucking brown. Like, it's very upsetting in so many directions.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of sad. Eating food with your hands is a funny thing because no, those foods are okay to eat with your hands. It's primitive and barbaric to eat these other foods with your hands. Yeah. It's like your hands aren't an absolute mess after eating Cheetos or something, but that's okay. You know, you can do that fine. Yeah, that one's been deemed acceptable by our culture. And I don't know if
not to mention, I just have to say, TJ, it is like the weakest ground of American culture to stand on is our dietary habits. We have disgusting relationship with food in our culture. It is horrific, which is actually something that a lot of fucking red pill fucking MAGA bros are going to agree with. And to say our dietary culture is the pinnacle of society and we look down on these heathens, we would get the fuck out of here. We have a fucking traditional meal in Iowa that's just deep fried fucking butter on a stick.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here that we are palately superior to other cultures.
Oh yeah, I would never argue that our palate is kind of boring. If it's weird that American palates are so dull, considering the fact that this is a melting pot. Like we have I guess all the interesting parts of our food come from somewhere else, since we don't have any to act. Everything we come up with ourselves is kind of bland. Like hamburgers, those are ours. You can make them good, I guess, but they're pretty basic, no offense to Scott. But but as far as the actual customs and courtesies around the food, those are interesting to me because when you travel around, it is interesting to see what is acceptable table manners in the culture that you're living in. I remember I had a girlfriend from Micronesia once, and I went to visit her, not in Micronesia, it was here in the States. And I'd been on a few dates with her a few times, but this is my first time being at her house. And so we sat down, she made spaghetti, and because I ain't cooking shit, folks, I'm a man. But we sat down and we were eating, and as she was eating with her mouth open, just chewing with her mouth open. And I kind of jumped it. I wasn't expecting that. And she said, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Back home, everyone eats with their mouth open. And when I'm outside in public in the United States, I eat with my mouth closed. But at home, she eats, like she would back in Micronesia with her mouth open and everything. That happens a lot. Like other cultures, like burping at the table is perfectly fine. It's just different. And we act like it's superior. Ours is superior because there just doesn't happen to be our own. It's kind of ridiculous.
All of the shit that we do in America, like to ever claim cultural superiority, like this has always like rubbed me the wrong way ever since I was a kid, that there's like a proper way to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Who gives a flying fuck? And like I've thought that since I was a little fucking kid.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And then you learn, oh shit, culinary politeness has historically been used as a class differentiator in order to justify atrocities committed against lower classes and other people. You learn that if your history class is teaching actual facts. And then you're like, oh shit, this is all a fucking lie. That like innate feeling of unfairness as I felt as a kid, sometimes that's because you're a little shit kid who doesn't understand what's good for him. But sometimes it's because your sense of morality as a kid is superior to what you're taught growing up. And this is one of those cases. Who gives a flying fuck how people eat their food? If you care how another person eats their food, again, if they're spitting food on you, okay, cool, I understand. If they're like messing with your food, cool, I understand. If they're doing something like intentionally disgusting with their food, maybe then I can understand too. But if it's just, hey, yeah, they eat food with their hands and I don't, get the fuck out of here. I don't give a shit. I really don't give a shit.
That with other cultures, and you're right, like the way, the proper way and the good way is just the way that we've been taught is so, and we look down on the people for it. Another area that appears is language and speech. Mm-hmm. And growing up, I would hear a lot from people, black and white, that would say, TJ, you sound like a white guy. You are the whitest black guy I know with the way. And I would be really offended by that. Like, I would be really upset. And I'd say, well, what if I use some more swear words and double negatives? Would that make me a black person? Is that what you're going for here? And then I got older and I listened to, you can download these courses. It's called Great Courses Plus. And you can basically audit classes from universities. And I'd listened to one about language. And I remember learning about the different types of English that we speak in the United States. And they covered, Black English, African American vernacular. They didn't call it that back then. And the guy, John McWhorter, who's a conservative, actually, I found out, kind of disappointing. But John McWhorter, he was talking about this and he was saying, yeah, he's like, people pretend that Black English is substandard English. That's the bad English. That's the English that you're not supposed to speak. He says, there's no such thing as correct English. It doesn't exist. Correct English, the only way you can speak incorrect English is if you're speaking to your audience and your audience doesn't understand you. Because the point of conversation is communication. If your audience doesn't know what you're talking about, at all, then you failed as a communicator. That doesn't happen. And so I was like, okay, you're right. Like I do speak white English. But white English is just like the professional managerial class English, college English, like those people, like mostly white, they dictate what is the correct one. Anyone who deviates from that in any way is looked down upon, which is completely wrong and immoral and racist and classist, unless you're making fun of like people from Alabama. Go for it. I do it all the time. But that's where I draw the line. Anything other than that, I don't agree with.
So I feel like there's nuance to this particular one, but I'm going to get into it in a second here. I just want to address Colby's comment first, because this is our Q&A show. Make sure to put your questions in the comments if you want us to answer them. But Colby says, okay, I know I'm late if you guys do a Halloween episode. By the way, you're early for Halloween. You're not late for Halloween. Halloween is in a couple months. But if you guys do a Halloween episode, can TJ be Mr. Terrific and John be Matt Walsh? I don't know if those are the correct characters, but I do think it would be fun to do a Halloween episode where we pretend to be other pundits.
I don't know why he picked Mr. Terrific and Matt. I like, why those two? Because
feels kind of racist, Colby, just saying.
Well, did Matt Walsh do a thing about Mr. Terrific? Because like if he did a whole thing about Mr. Terrific is terrible and I hate the woke propaganda, that would make sense. But
that would make sense.
Yeah, I don't see the correlation because, that could be a lot more fun with different people. But
I do think that in general, like an improv session where someone is being Mr. Terrific and someone is being Matt Walsh could be very fun.
That could be fun. That's true.
I don't see like why you picked those particular characters, because I do like this idea, Colby. We're going to think about it. Oh, Colby said late to the episode. But me and TJ will chat it up, see if we want to do some sort of Halloween special. Anyway, we were just discussing the language thing. So I feel like there's a little bit of nuance to this, because on one hand, I agree with you. There is no correct English. I think that's stupid. However, I would argue that being able to speak managerial professional class English is an inherently valuable skill when operating in a corporate environment, because being able to communicate in that way, it's kind of ruthlessly efficient and is cohesive to teamwork. And if someone doesn't understand the ins and outs of how to communicate in that style of English, they're just not going to be as effective at their job. Can they make up for that in other ways? Yes, they can. But I do feel like it is a skill that, people who aren't part of that class ought to learn for their own advancement if they wish to have a corporate job, because it would be beneficial to them. But also, it's fucking dumb to think that that's a correct way, or to look down on them if they can't do it, because they don't have to fucking work a corporate job.
Well, I mean, I think you're just arguing for situational appropriate English, which I think is a thing, right? Because like if you do choose to go on a career, because you could have a perfectly successful and happy life and never learn professional managerial class English. Like if you want to be an undercover cop, that's not going to help you out a lot, right? So I mean, like there's this, whatever your path in life, the communication that works well for you there, it's going to work well for you.
I go to a frat party and I say, as per the last time.
Yeah.
They're going to just slap me in the face.
Yeah. So, and that is kind of a problem that if you, because flexibility in how you speak that type of English is really important too, which trips a lot of people up, that they have this very rigid way to speak English and they don't tinker around with it at all. And it really puts people, it doesn't put them at ease when you're outside of work. They kind of think, oh, what's up with this guy? Why is he being all serious and formal right now? I'm trying to order hot dogs here. It's weird. Like people don't know what's going on. So you got to find your way around that. And, we got a comment here. Conservative Ozarks. Hey, I like John's hat. He looks like he's going to a sporting event after the show. John, is this, are you heading to a sporting event?
I'm not going to a sporting event. I just had a bad hair day and didn't want it on camera. So
well, see, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, just Bane, Ozark. There's no reason for this.
All right, so I wanted to show this. This is Doug Wilson is a pastor. I'm almost positive he did like this event with Barack Obama back in 2008 or something like that, when Obama was trying to win over conservatives. It might have been a different pastor, but I'm pretty sure it was him. But I didn't know he was this extreme. But he did an interview, I think this is on CNN. I can't remember where it was, but he's talking to the interviewer and he's explaining his worldview and everything like that. And this was shared by Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense. And I hope this is the section that I talked about. Well, let's go.
A big focus of his Christian movement is on a patriarchal society where men are dominant and women are expected to submit to their husbands.
Women are the kind of people that people come out of.
So you just think they're meant to have babies. That's
Well,
it. They're just a vessel.
No, it doesn't take any talent to simply reproduce biologically. The wife and mother, who is the chief executive of the home, is entrusted with 3 or 4 or 5 eternal souls.
I'm here as a working journalist and I'm a mom of 3.
Good for you.
Is that an issue
No.
for you?
And no, it's not automatically an issue.
Josh and Amy Prince, along with their 4 kids, moved here from Washington State.
Do you see Amy as your equal?
Yes and no, in the sense that we're both saved by grace. We're absolutely on equal footing, but we have very different purposes, God-given.
But do you see yourself as the head of the household, as the man?
He is the head of our household.
Yes.
Yes, and I do submit to him.
So like moving here
I was just
was
going to say that.
ultimately your decision.
Yes.
That's a great
example.
Wilson says in his vision of a Christian society, women as individuals shouldn't be able to vote. His fellow pastors, Jared Longshore and Toby Sumter, agree.
In my ideal society, we would vote as households. And I would ordinarily be the one that would cast the vote, but I would cast the vote having discussed it with my household.
But what if there's your wife doesn't want to vote for the same
Right.
person as you?
Right. Well, then that's a great opportunity for a good discussion.
There are some who have gone so far as to say that they want the 19th Amendment repealed.
I would support that. And I'd support it on the basis that the atomization that comes with our current system is not good for humans.
And Wilson, a veteran himself, is unapologetic.
All right. So I think you got the idea right there. And that was shared with by Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense. What do you think there, John?
So I hate to like victim blame, but my first, because I did see that clip shared around. I didn't watch it, I just saw the caption and I was like, what the fuck is this reporter woman doing? Like, why are you?
You're not. That's not victim blaming. This isn't victim blaming.
Okay, I mean, I don't like that. Shouldn't be the thing that like I noticed, but it's just like, I guess I noticed it before I even like as soon as CNN like started the piece, like they're an organization that believes this, and I'm like, why the fuck are you reporting this? Like it isn't abhorrent. Like if they walked into the KKK and were like, this is an organization that believes that the 14 words, that would be insane. But you do that to this organization that believes women are inherently inferior, and you just report on it like it's viable news that like this is a worldview that should be accepted in society. Like that's insane. And I genuinely can't believe that woman, as a woman, did that. Like it just feels disgusting. And I'm sure she has her own reasons. And again, I'm not blaming her specifically. I'm sure this was a decision made above her head, but like, fuck, it's weird. It's fucking weird. And the other thing I have to say about it, when he said yes and no, I view her as an equal. I was like, okay, there's going to be a yes and a no here. And she's like, yes, in the way that no one gives a shit about. No, in all the ways that matter.
Yes.
That was so funny.
Yeah. Honestly, like I do blame her, the interviewer. I do, because I forgot. I actually wrote this down. I had the exact same thought with the clip we showed from Oklahoma with Ryan Walters, the superintendent, where he says, okay, the Oklahoma superintendent of public schools says we need a test to ban the woke teachers and that we need to make sure that American exceptionalism is taught in our schools and that we are patriotic in all of our endeavors. And then right after that, some politicians disagree with him. Some are saying this, like, no, what is happening here? I hate that everyone has this balls and strikes way of reporting absolute, which honestly, that's why I'm so mad at both of these newscasters. This is how we got here. This is exactly how we got here, is that we have someone saying, yeah, maybe kids should get to eat when they're at school. And then, well, here's your opponent who says children need to sweep the bathroom to earn their meal at lunchtime. And I can't, that's just the news, folks. This is straight down the middle reporting. There's nothing honorable about that, but that's how we ended up here.
At the very least, in the first clip, two things. One, again, as I said, never heard of that network. I'm just assuming they're a biased right-wing rag, so I'm not holding them to the same standard as CNN. Like CNN, while it has a bunch of right-wing bias, at least ostensibly tries to say that it is a respectable news outlet that does respectable journalism, and sometimes they do. But like, also in the first case, it is at least a government official, which I agree with your assessment of that, but it's a lot different than going into a religious nut job fucking cult and reporting on it like it's reasonable. Like, at least you can say, oh, the government official is saying this. That's newsworthy information. We should cover that. And I'll agree with you. I disagree with the way you covered it, but it should be covered. This shouldn't ever have been a fucking segment. There was no reason to run this segment. Again, it's the same thing as going into the KKK and reporting on what they believe. And if you had an issue with that, I fail to see why. They're both fucking religious cult hate groups. And it just doesn't make sense to me why they would be treated any differently.
It's been really, really disappointing to see how these folks have won, and that you in a way you kind of do have to treat them as a legitimate movement, because they encapsulate a large portion of the population, a growing one amongst young men especially, and they hold all the levers of power. Like, this is actually, I mean, I hesitate to say mainstream, but I mean, what does mainstream mean if it doesn't mean people who control?
It's getting retweeted by the Secretary of Defense.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And what did he say exactly when you retweeted? He said that it was some weird shit like to God all the glory and Christ is king and stuff like that. This is like, yeah, the religious nut jobs have won. They're everywhere now. And they have this, stuff that would have seemed regressive 15 years ago, not just like with women and the fire and brimstone shit, but also the hatred or the embracing of violence and state retribution, which we didn't even talk about the fact that Trump has essentially declared martial law in Washington, D.C. You heard about this one, folks?
Yeah, it's so annoying. Like, I don't, it's something that I don't personally care about. And that's not to say that it's not important or that it isn't a gross misuse of power. It's just like, it's not getting me out of bed to worry about. Like, that can be someone else's thing. But like, it's just like the people who are like, oh, Democrats are against reducing crime in DC. That's like, motherfucker. Like if you're gonna fuck me, at least wine and dine me first. Like, at least express what my fucking objection to this is accurately. Like, if you believe that this is the right thing to do, this is the only thing that can fucking reduce crime in DC, which by the way has been dropping all the past fucking year, fucking stand by your fucking belief. Don't make up some absurd scarecrow argument being made by the other side that crime should go up. No, that's not what we're fucking saying. And if you believe that that's what Democrats are saying, there's no way you're actually engaging with anyone in your life in good faith.
And I know it's a waste of time to try to use the hypocrisy argument on folks. You know it doesn't get anywhere, but I can't help myself here. Is small government conservatives, huh? Yeah, don't you love it? Don't you love the limited power of the federal government and just federalizing police forces, sending the National Guard into the state of California? But, we love small government, though. Right? Do you want small government or big government, folks? And I have a clip here from, who Benny Johnson is, right, John? You know Benny Johnson, right?
Yeah. Yes, I know who Benny Johnson is.
Yeah, good old Benny Johnson. He loves this. He is rock hard about Trump going in and sending in the National Guard in Washington, D.C., and he has a few ideas for him.
To the peoples of Earth, then Washington, D.C. must be swept clean. I believe entire neighborhoods probably need to be emptied, need to be bulldozed. I believe that there are places that are so crime-ridden and so infested that you just need to, you're just going to have to crack down. You're going to have to do the job, and you're going to have to get the crime out of Washington. That's my personal experience. Don't believe the bullshit that you hear online from some reporters. Oh, crime's down in D.C. Well, my infant nearly died in a drug fire after mass shootings. So no, DC is not safe. And I can tell you this as a matter of fact, it is one of the worst, most racist narco states and welfare states imaginable. In that neighborhood that I would walk every single day, racial epithets were screamed at us, rocks were thrown at us because we were white people. This city is a sunken place. It is an unsafe place. I mean, if that's what happens to me, imagine what happens to somebody who's like visiting here from a foreign country. Right? It's totally and wholly unsafe and a scar on the face of our country. And it must be healed. And President Trump is going about that heavy work.
All right, John, I'll let you have first shot at this. What were your thoughts after seeing old Benny Johnson there?
So many thoughts. A, first of all, fuck you, Benny Johnson. B, I really struggle. I really struggle to even understand the leap being made of bulldozing people's houses is going to cause them to commit less crime. Like, I understand that what he's arguing for is ethnic cleansing. That's what he wants. He wants to remove all of the people he views as potential criminals, bulldoze their houses, seize their land, build new housing for white people there, and just fuck the rest of them. I don't fucking know. Like, that's what he wants. But it's just like, again, kind of what we talked about, the way that this language is just acceptable to say now. It's acceptable to just say that without having any ostensible reason why this is beneficial to the people of Washington, D.C. Like, it just isn't. Second of all, I don't live in D.C., TJ. I know that D.C. has a lot of crime problems. I'm not going to sit here and say D.C. doesn't have issues with crime. But what I do say is that I live in Philly, and Philly has issues with crime. And there are streets in Philly that I will agree can be genuinely unsafe, especially for people who are not from this part of town. But just don't fucking walk on those streets, bro. Like there's nothing on the, like, by definition, the streets that are dangerous, there's no reason to be walking down them. There's no reason you have to go there. If you walk in the normal good parts of any fucking city, you're going to be totally okay. Like, they rely on their audiences not understanding what living in a city is like. Like, I swear to God, these people think that, oh yeah, you just turn down the wrong street. You go to City Hall, you get your marriage license, you skip down with your fiance, you take a wrong turn, boom, you're fucking gangbanged. And it's like, that's not how any fucking city works. Like, everyone who lives in a city knows where the bad areas are and know not to go there. And that's not saying that bad areas should continue to exist, but it is saying that don't fucking walk your infant in the fucking crime-ridden infested areas. Again, I forget what the exact statistic here, but it's something like absurd, like 80 to 90% of all violence is committed on like 2% of the streets in any given city. Like, it's very acute and limited. And, this is coming from police and like, law enforcement research of like, hey, yeah, it works when we acutely, hyper vigilantly police these small areas. But if we then expand that to the entire city, it erodes trust in law enforcement and increases crime rates overall. Like, again, this isn't me. This is not me. This is what law enforcement data and research has shown us. And to extrapolate, hey, we have some bad streets, we have some bad areas of this city, we need to start bulldozing houses and federalizing the fucking police force of that city. Just that jump is a non sequitur. Like, it just, one does not mean the other. They are two completely different things. And you don't even have to go into, the actual way to address this is to meet people's material needs instead of fucking bulldozing their housing. But like, that conversation hasn't fucking worked for these people.
Yeah, John is correct that if you live in a city or any area, you realize where the dangerous parts are and you avoid those places, which is why I have practically no sympathy for Thomas and Martha Wayne. What the fuck? You guys have been living in Gotham your entire lives, several generations back, going to the 1800s, whatever. You know that you have the most money of anyone in town. You know exactly where the safe places are. You're going to walk through literally called Crime Alley and then be shocked that something happens to you. They had it coming. It's actually kind of surprising Bruce turned out as smart as he was if those were his parents, because like, Jesus Christ, kind of mistake that was that. And then I wrote down, oh, I wish I could remember what happened here. I said, look at Benny swearing like a big boy. Oh yeah, he said, don't believe the shit that people tell you. Well, it's like how he mustered up that shit like a big boy. It's pretty funny. But he said that, oh, and all these reporters will tell you that crime is down. The crime rate is actually decreasing. No, don't believe that. My kid was almost killed in a fire. And I saw a crime once. Crime is pretty bad. So wait a minute. Hold on. Like, no one is saying that you haven't seen a crime or that crime doesn't happen. We're saying the crime rate is decreasing. But this works on people. I hate to say it, but it works on people. You can rattle off all the nerd shit you want, but people have their personal experiences, or even if they hear a personal experience from someone else, they're more likely to believe that. I remember being taught this years ago when I was in college, and people would say that, people are a lot less likely to believe something from an expert who wrote a book about something, or someone who actually studied in the field and has a dissertation on it. They're less likely to believe that than they are to believe you. If you're a close friend and you say, oh, I read this book, and they're like, oh, TJ, I know that guy. He's cool. I trust him. I'm not even going to bother checking. It works like a charm. So you can just talk about your anecdotal experiences, your gut feeling, your intuition. People will buy into it. The stats don't matter at all. And then I wrote, his answer here was, how about we just bulldoze? He says, this city needs to be purged. It needs to be swept clean. We need to bulldoze it because people are yelling at me and making fun of me. It's like, yeah, because you're Benny Johnson, of course. Like, I don't know how you wouldn't expect that being Benny Johnson. But he's kind of showing the religion of performative sociopathy that American conservatism is. You know how we would get those questions, those thought experiments saying, okay, if we have AI, we have to keep an eye on it, because if we give the AI a problem saying, all right, AI, we have an issue with crime in this area of the city. We need you to take care of that. The AI with no humanity is just going to say, oh, get rid of all the people. No more crime. That's exactly what he did. Like, it is like absolutely one-to-one comparison. So, like, basically, conservatives, if you want us to stop calling you fascist, you got to stop saying fascist shit. But they're all going to keep saying fascist shit because that's exactly what they are.
And again, you like I am all the way willing to have a conversation about crime on the merits of reducing crime. I'm willing to admit that there have been many failed liberal policies in cities that have led to more crime, and we can talk about them. The problem is the policies that you are suggesting to get rid of the crime. If you asked an AI, like TJ said, like even if we're saying, hey, let's ask the AI, look at all of the evidence and research and available human knowledge, what is the best way to reduce crime? None of it would ever say we should bulldoze people's houses. We should purge criminals from the streets. No, it would say what I said. Again, what actual law enforcement data has shown us, that the vast majority of violent crime is A, tied to specific locations, and B, tied to specific times. And if you have acute enforcement of law enforcement, acute enforcement of the law at those times and places, you can significantly reduce crime at a fraction of the cost. But what do we have here? We are mobilizing the national fucking police forces to walk down. You saw the videos that they tweeted out of them just walking down like the main promenade in Washington, D.C. And it's like, that's not where the crime is happening, motherfuckers. Like, no one has ever been killed there. And maybe someone has been killed there. But like, that's not where the fucking violence is happening. Everyone fucking knows that. If you are making a good faith argument to me on the need to reduce fucking crime in Washington, D.C., we need to be able to agree that sending federal agents down the fucking main strip of DC isn't going to do diddly shit to reduce crime, because that's not where it's happening. And if we can't get there, yeah, I'm just going to call you a fascist, because the policies that you are saying we should implement are fascist, and you are making no even reasonable attempt to look at actual data or evidence to back them up. It's insane.
This, what you're talking about, John, it's actually funny. There are times when a lot of our analysis and our discussions, we actually do reference what police say, right? It's like, they wouldn't have a problem with this. Like, I remember a couple years, gosh, man, it's like 4 years ago now, we had in the Indiana General Assembly a law for constitutional carry. And for those of you who haven't heard of that, constitutional carry is basically you don't need a permit for concealed carry. If you buy a gun, you can conceal carry it. Ridiculous, right? No training, nothing at all, no permit. And of course, our organization was fighting against it. So were the cops. It was the only time I had ever seen the cops on our side on an issue. And the cops are standing there. Normally, they're deep in the side of the Republicans. They're like, folks, this is a bad idea. Like, this is terrible. Like, this is. I mean, we're not going to know who has a gun at all. And of course, they didn't listen to them because they're like, nope, the Second Amendment, folks. So
back to blue until we decide we don't want
exactly right. Yeah, come on. What do you guys know? What would you guys know about crime? Come on. But this is I had a friend of mine who's a cop, and he was telling me, yeah, the thing about people, they always say that whenever there's crime, we want more cops. And I didn't prompt this, by the way. He said this himself. He's like, they always say, we want more cops. He's like, but more police does not lower the crime rate. He goes, it doesn't work. It doesn't happen that way. He's like, yeah, it's just more expensive and it doesn't solve the problem. And it's true because people seem to have this idea that we have criminals because we have bad people. Bad people commit crime. So if we just lock the bad people away, there won't be anyone left to commit a crime. It's like, that's not how this works at all. But that's how people think year after year after year. And Jeanine Pirro, who I believe is the 29th person from Fox News to be hired to work at the White House, she was asked a question today. This is actually great, John. You said this is exactly what happened. Where actually, I'll just let it play.
Prosecutors. You just walked through the changes you'd like to see from the punitive aspects. What about preventative? Do you or the president plan to do anything to address the root causes of crime in DC, such as truancy?
My job is to try to heal the victims and prosecute the criminal. Everybody else can deal with rehabilitating the individual. I honestly am not concerned about why they commit crimes. My concern is if they commit crimes. My concern is the victims of the crimes. That's my job as a U.S. attorney. Go ahead.
But just follow up on that quickly.
Yeah, so that is, I'm not even going to say refreshingly honest, but it's just honest. They said, listen, the crimes happen. We got it. You want to punish the crime. She even said that. You talk about the punitive aspects. What about the preventative aspects? And the blank look on her face. It's like she had never thought about that before. Said, that's not, I'm worried about after the crime. So yeah, that's why we're here. But had you seen that, John?
I had not seen that, but you're kind of right. It is refreshingly it's on. Like it's like, yeah, I don't give a shit about preventing crime. Straight from her mouth. Yeah. I do not care about what causes crime. I just want to punish criminals.
Yes.
And honestly, that is how that's how they think. They ostensibly say, oh yeah, we need to reduce crime, but that's not what they want. They do not want to reduce crime. They want more crime, if anything, because then they have more people to punish.
Yes.
And again, teacher, I've talked to people about this. I've had long, in-depth conversations with people who are able to articulate their arguments on this, TJ. It's not like just dumb fucks.
Yeah.
They go deep into the philosophy of this, and they genuinely, deep fucking down in their bones, believe it is a moral good to punish a moral wrong, and they will fucking bite the bullet if you say, talking about the death penalty, taking this all the way, right? And if you're like, yeah, well, the death penalty sometimes results in innocent people being killed. Unavoidable. Through all of our human history of having a death penalty, we have never been able to avoid killing innocent people. And you can ask them straight up, do you believe that whatever moral goodness that you gain from killing bad people is worth knowing that you're going to kill innocent people? And they will fucking say yes. They will fucking say yes. They would rather more innocent people die in order for them to be able to punish the bad people. And it's just fucking insane. Fucking insane. Also fucking anti-Christian, by the way, just saying.
Oh, well, yeah.
Most of the people who say this claim to be Christian.
Yeah. And I don't know. So this is I do understand their thought process. I do. I think it's ridiculous and it's counterintuitive. It's counterproductive, but I do get the emotion part because fairness, like we talk about like the base level of the human experience and stuff that's just transcends culture and everything. One thing that transcends culture is our feeling of fairness. Like if something is unjust and not fair, and we see that, it's like, okay, so this person kills someone, it seems fair that they die. I get that. I understand that part. And in fact, I kind of agree. Like emotionally, I do. But my brain working the way it does, once you show me the data that, oh, this actually doesn't solve the problem. In fact, it makes it a lot worse a lot of times. And throughout human history, if you see the death penalty used to be a lot more common. You look back decades ago, they killed people for non-capital, or I guess the capital offenses back then, but non-murder offenses back then. You go back to hundreds of years ago, you were killed for minor offenses. The crime rate's always higher. Like the fewer instances of the death penalty you have, the lower your crime rate will be every single time. You show that data, it's like, okay, I can't defend that anymore. I don't give a shit about how I feel about this. What I want, what is your goal here? And she was like confused by the question, actually, because she says, I'm not worried about rehab. So she didn't ask you about rehab. She asked you about preventative.
Yeah, she's not asked about rehabilitative
stuff. She didn't ask about it. Yes. And so, like, their mind can't even grapple. Because what this should all be about is, what is your goal? That's where you always got to start with, folks. What is your goal for this policy? And if you show, now I can feel strongly that, hey, this seems right, this seems fair, I like this policy, but if it contradicts my goal, I have to give it up. Which means the goal isn't really what you care about. You care about satisfying this emotional need for revenge. That's it. And just admit it. Just admit it that you're not actually trying to better society. You're just trying to make yourself feel better, which doesn't help anyone else,
And I will admit, TJ, I actually do see like a consistency isn't the right word, but a piece of valid argument within what Janine said, because she is a district attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is accurate to say that her job really doesn't have that much to do with crime prevention and everything to do with carrying out the law and executing the punishments that the law prescribes to criminals. Like that is her job.
Mm-hmm.
You can make the argument that she should be wanting to whatever, but like she can say, I'm calling balls and strikes. That's my job. Policies for other people. But where she fucks up is she's pushing to change the policy so she can punish criminals differently. Like that's the whole thing that she's doing. So it's the moment that you do that, you're no longer saying I'm calling balls and strikes. Suddenly there is a reason for why you're pushing for what you're pushing for. And if it is anything other than reducing the harm that criminals cause to innocent people, I don't think that you are serving the public interest. And I don't feel like that's a controversial statement that literally anyone should disagree with. But fuck, a lot of people do.
It is. And I don't know. People are just, you can't get by a lot of people's emotions and gut reactions and everything. I was talking with someone earlier about, so it's always annoyed me about, sex offender registries that I found out in college that, if you get drunk and you like pee next to a building or something like that in the middle of the night and you get caught, you're put on a sex offender registry. No, okay,
really dumb. No. One of the dumbest things in the world.
Super absurd. Absolutely.
Honestly, it's fucking sexist against men.
Yeah, that's right. It disproportionately affects men. That's true. And now you're on a sex offender registry and you got to explain this. Oh no, that's what I'm not. You guys look up TJ Whitehead any state you want. I'm not there. This isn't a personal cause or anything. I just realized I'm getting animated about this. But then
it is insane because like it dilutes what being on the sex offender registry is. Like if I have to be like, someone could just say, someone who is on the sex offender registry could say, yeah, no, this is what the fucking case was, and I probably believe them because I'm a good.
You know what?
Takes people at face value, and they could be fucking lying.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, but you would really. I don't see a good reason for it, but it would be hard to campaign on this issue because all they would have to say is, oh, this guy is soft on sex offenders, which is technically true. And then it tanks everything. So people just have this gut, like whether your argument makes sense or not, isn't as important as how its initial explanation makes them feel. And which is, one of the reasons I've been ordering these comments. I'm sorry, guys. The comments we had.
Let's just rapid fire hit the comments here.
Oh boy, what are we up here? Police don't want to eliminate crime. It takes a really dumb police officer to not realize police are the greatest seat for crime. What is that stat that 40% of cops are involved in domestic abuse with their spouses?
That's incorrect. That's incorrect. Common misconception.
Oh,
not that 40% of the cops domestically abuse their partners. It's that 40% of cops admit to it.
Oh no! Admit to it. Why would they admit to
survey.
it?
That's God! And I will even that's one of those stats where I read it and I'm like, I don't believe that.
That can't be right. That can't be right.
True.
No way.
I don't really feel the need to.
Wait. I mean, I don't care how many times someone tells me a survey is anonymous. I'm not going to admit to a crime on that survey. Okay, there's no chance that's going to happen. That's kind of weird. I've looked into that. Let's see. That scene in The Office. The fire is shooting at us. I haven't watched The Office. So.
That one. Sorry, Francisco. TJ just watched The Office, right?
Yeah, I never watched it. Crime is often a result of intentional policy made to criminalize a population. Police become an invading force, and the community organizes to protect themselves. This quickly becomes gangs. Listen, if you ever want a solid example of what Kyle just said right there, look up the Black Codes after the Civil War. And where they said, oh, we got all these freed slaves around. Let's make their lives miserable. Let's make loitering a crime. Hanging out, just standing outside. We're going to make that a crime because a lot of them are doing that right now. Public intoxication, or not even just public intoxication, like having an open container outside. Yeah. It's a crime.
One of the dumbest. Public intoxication, I understand. You need a reason to sometimes arrest people who are dangerous to themselves and others. Having a drink outside, we're a free goddamn country. Like, what? How is this not something that conservatives get up in arms about? Because it's one of the most you're taking our beer away from us.
Yes, and this actually is another example, John, what you're saying about how they'll gladly cut off their nose to spite their face. These crimes affect them too, right? Yeah. If it doesn't matter what your skin color is now. You're outside walking and you have an open beer, ticket. Ridiculous, insane. I remember I was walking in downtown Indianapolis this summer, and I walked by this neighborhood. And the neighborhood, it was really cool, had a nice neighborhood, but there was this red line on the sidewalk and it said, oh, past this line, you can have open containers. You can drink on this part of the sidewalk, but not that part of the sidewalk. It's a crime over here. It's insane. It's absolutely absurd. Okay. They're going to send the National Guard to patrol Kevin McAllister's neighborhood in Chicago instead of the South Side. Oh, I was going to mention this too, John. The fact that the National Guard has been mobilized to be Washington's police force, people, the National Guard, they're not cops. They're not fucking cops.
Why would you do this? They're not. Why would they be better at their jobs than the people who do this job every day? It doesn't make any sense.
It's infinitely worse. It's infinitely worse. John Cooper, you were wrong about that. The Association of the DA says the DA's job is to seek justice. Preventing a crime is just an explicit part of that. I mean, the DA's job is to prosecute.
I agree. I agree with what you're saying. What I'm saying is, if I want to view what she's saying charitably, I understand saying, my job isn't that's not really the preventative aspects. Aren't really the majority of my job, and I think that we would all agree that the majority of a prosecutor's job is to prosecute crimes that already happened rather than prevent them. I get I can charitably view what she's saying there, and I'm Iron Manning her argument. I'm not justified.
Letter of the law, it's correct. We were talking about the philosophy in general. If a measure came up to vote on after school programs or truancy matters that they're talking about, she would vote against that shit. She actually wants more crime, more punitive aspects of it, and the DA office. I don't know what she could do in her capacity to start these programs. I don't. That's not her job. Yeah. The best the DA can do is to say, I'm not going to prosecute that. I think that's bullshit. I think it's nonsense. And they will. They have the power to do it. When I was in recruiting, so the whole thing about, you guys have heard, join the army or go to jail. You've heard that stuff. That's not really a thing anymore. That was a Vietnam era thing, but it's kind of still stuck around. But I've had instances where I had a recruit. I had a guy who had signed up for Ranger school contract. He had a really good thing going for him. He was a high school senior, and he had said to wait till the summer is over and then he could ship off to school. And he went to a party with his girlfriend, and he was like, 18, 19, and he drank. And he got into a fight with his girlfriend or something like that. So he said, I went to cool off. I left the house, and I went in the car and laid down to like sleep and everything. You cannot be in a car and drunk. That the cops are going, if they find you there, they're going to charge you with a DUI. They're just going to assume you were going to drive. And so that DUI ticket would have destroyed his chances to go to the Army. Just done. Like, it wasn't going to happen. So when he got that ticket, I did go talk to the prosecutor and say, hey, can you cut this guy a break? He signed here's his enlistment contract. He has like a $10,000 bonus. Like, giving this guy a DUI could literally ruin his life. Like, it really could. I mean, it's like, and is it worth it? And they'll work with you on it. Say, okay, yeah, I'll drop the charges there. Because what does he care? It's a DUI ticket for an 18-year-old. It's not like it's an end of the world type of thing. So I think that's the way prosecutors can exercise some social justice. And like, yeah, this is nonsense. I think we're bullying someone here. We can let it go.
Yeah, no, agree with that. So the Kyle had said something else. A Christian representative said, well, we wouldn't have Jesus if we weren't for the death penalty. That is true, and it's fucking insane. It's just fucking insane. It is an insane reading of the Bible, no matter which way you fucking dice it. Like, we wouldn't have. So are you saying that God wanted us to kill Jesus? Is that your argument? Like, murder's good? Like is that really the argument? What if they're Jesus? Is that the argument being made here?
Also, by this argument, suicide is good too, because Jesus came here to die. He knew it, right? Like, Jesus could have stopped the guards. He's God. He could have stopped them anytime he wanted, and he didn't. So suicide must be good too. I know it's kind of ridiculous, but
Colby says there's no punishment on earth that prevents crime. I disagree with that. Like, there are punishments that prevent crime. For example, if I know you're not going to give me a ticket, I'm going to park illegally. 100%, I'm going to do it. If I know there's no chance of me being ticketed, I'm going to park illegally at some point. I park illegally at times when I know I could get ticketed. I make that little fucking cost-benefit analysis. So I know that some crimes can definitely be prevented with punishment. It's just that a lot of crimes, like, say, murder, the worst crimes specifically, are crimes of passion, where people are not thinking rationally. So saying, yeah, if the punishment is worse, they won't commit the crime. No, they fucking will. They fucking will. They're still going to kill their fucking spouse because they fucking hate them. They're not thinking rationally. They're not thinking, well, if I only got 15 years, I would do this. But fuck, I'm going to get 50, so I'm not going to do it. No one has ever had that thought in the history of the universe.
You could also, even if it doesn't, because you can't, like, yes, you can have punishments bad enough that you will curb the crime. Absolutely will. Like Singapore is a good example of this. Singapore has not a lot of crime in Singapore, but it's nowhere you'd ever want to live, right? It's nowhere you'd actually want to stay. It's like, oh, you spit on the ground and you get 12 lashes. No, I think I'm fine. I'm fine with a dirty sidewalk every now and then if that's the price I have to pay for a clean one. So, all right. Okay. Oh, we're a little late. We can wrap this up. What do we got for the good folks on Thursday, John?
So for the good folks on Thursday, the Left Wing Film Club is returning to not talk about a film, but to talk about the number one streaming TV show in America right now, and that is South Park.
I know.
It has become the number one streaming show in America, and for good reason. It's good again. Like, I was a fan of South Park. They stopped being good, and it's not because of who they're making fun of. It's because they kind of lost it. But you can tell they got it back. It's fantastic, and it's all political shit at this point. And they're doing it very, very well. Cannot wait to talk about it. TJ was actually a little bit against it, and then he came around on it.
Yeah, let's go. I can't wait.
All right, so we're back on Thursday with the Left Wing Film Club talking about South Park. Until then, see you guys later. Thank you very much for being here.
Just us, no guest.
Just us, no guest, yeah.
All right, good times. God, I feel